The history of metal bending. Metal bending is a specialized subskill of earthbending that allows an earthbender to ferrokinetically bend processed metal in a similar fashion to bending regular earth. Long regarded as an impossible feat, the technique was invented by Toph Beifong to escape from a metal cage in which she was captured and transported by Xin Fu and Master Yu. Since metal is merely earth that has been purified and refined, Toph used her seismic sense to perceive the trace amounts of unpurified crude earth still present in the metal, target it, and use it to bend the purified metal itself. Metal benders can also bend liquid metals, such as mercury, though utilize more fluid movements to do so, akin to water bending. It is also possible to bend liquid metal inside someone's body. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the history of metal bending. Before we begin, we publish new content every week, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For thousands of years, earthbenders were not able to manipulate processed earth. During the 100-Year War, the Fire Nation exploited this inability to detain captive earthbenders, such as when they forced earthbenders to work on a metallic prison rig in the middle of the ocean, and locked King Bumi in a suspended metal cage following the takeover of Omashu. Other nations used the same tactic, such as when Xin Fu and the Earth Rumble 6 fighters captured Toph and Aang in metal cages and suspended them in the air, a situation impossible to escape from through the use of conventional earthbending. This changed during the spring of 100 AG, however, when Toph Beifong was incarcerated in a metal cage by Xin Fu and her former teacher Master Yu. While being transported back to Gaoling, Toph realized that metal was only a form of processed earth, and began to meditate in her prison until she was able to feel the trace amounts of earth in the metal. By utilizing those remaining fragments, she metal bent for the first time, allowing her escape while also imprisoning her captors inside the cage. From then on, she continued to practice and refine the technique, making it a vital asset to winning the 100-Year War. After the 100-Year War, Toph established the Beifong Metal Bending Academy to share the technique with others. By 170 AG, metal bending had become the primary form of earthbending used by Republic City's police force. The police used metal cables stored in cylindrical spool devices on their backs for various tasks, such as subduing criminals or for extra mobility around the city. The art also spread to earthbenders beyond the United Republic's borders, as some members of the Order of the White Lotus became proficient in the art. In addition, the city of Zaofu was constructed entirely by metal bending, an effort led by Toph's younger daughter, Suyin Beifong. Toph's learning curve. Initially, Toph's metal bending seemed to be restricted to close-range manipulation. In almost all cases, she was standing close to or was in direct contact with the metal she intended to bend. She had scrunched or otherwise deformed sheets of metal, but had never caused it to freely reshape itself the way she had with earth, and was not known to have ever bent metal at a distance. However, when making direct contact with a prison's metal door, she was able to blast it off its hinges with such force that it ricocheted 4 times around the corridor beyond before coming to a rest. Over time, Toph greatly increased the range of her metal bending and started to incorporate the technique in her fighting style, as demonstrated when she knocked several Fire Nation guards off a ship from several meters away and trapped a Dai Li agent in a metal column. She also developed the ability to see through metal, just as she could with regular earth. By the time she, Sokka, and Suki set out to destroy Phoenix King Ozai's airship fleet, she controlled her metal bending more fluidly. She could easily tear a metal door off its hinges to fabricate herself a suit of armor, and was able to manipulate the metal plating in the command bay of the airship from a short distance to pin her opponents against the walls. Toph was also able to metal bend the ship's floor upward to block a comet-charged fire blast, just as a traditional earthbender would block attacks using a rock barrier. Her fine control over the art also allowed her to climb upside down along the metal ceiling of the airship while in her metal armor. Toph later bent the rudder of an airship, causing it to spiral and collide with the other ships. When doing so, she took noticeably more time and concentration than if she had been required to do so with orthodox forms of earthbending. A full year later, Toph was fully capable of bending metal she was not in contact with. For example, when a firebending teacher invaded her academy, she demonstrated her ability by effortlessly bending a metal weapon around his head that was a few feet away from her. She stated that as long as someone was close enough to see the metal, she could bend it. She demonstrated this by metal bending screws and bolts from a distance to unscrew the wheels of Fire Nation tanks. In her later life, she came to possess abilities such as being able to control cables from her armor and being able to put on her armor, which appears to be only put on through metal bending. Teaching methods. Toph explained to Sokka how she found her first metal bending students. When she was close by each of them, her meteorite bracelet rumbled ever so slightly due to the intense emotional state those particular people were in at the time. She realized that they were subconsciously metal bending the jewelry, and thus figured that they had an aptitude for the art. While teaching her first students, Toph forced them to remotely metal bend small coins, rather than manipulate the metal via direct contact. Remote metal bending was favored over direct contact to break down the illusion of complete separation between bendable earth and purified metal at the beginning of the students' training. Despite how widespread metal bending would become over the next 70 years, it is noted that only 1 out of 100 earthbenders ever master the art, though metal bending master Toph Beifong believes the only real limitation in learning the ability are the ones a person places on themselves. When Toph first taught Cora metal bending, she got her to feel the fine pieces of earth inside a metal meteorite sculpture. Metal bending in Republic City. In contemporary forms of metal bending, the metal bending police force can bend metals without direct contact. An example of this advancement was shown when Lin Beifong unlocked Cora's handcuffs from across the interrogation room with just a flick of her hand. In another instance, Lin was fighting equalist chi blockers on the roof of the pro-bending arena. She knocked 2 chi blockers off the roof by metal bending parts of the support rods. Metal bending in Zaofu. The metal clan in Zaofu incorporates metal bending into numerous aspects of life. They have found ways to utilize their bending in the areas of fine arts, such as dancing and sculpting, recreation, with the invention of power disc, and architecture. In addition, the citizens of Zaofu employ a fluid variation of metal bending, as opposed to the more rigid and limited nature used in other parts of the Earth Kingdom. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.